I used to love winning money. During the race, the buzz would just increase. It was very similar to scoring a goal.
Because it's such an aggressive psychological addiction and behavioural addiction, it completely changes the way that your brain is wired. It completely changes the way you think about almost everything in life.
When I did gamble, there was something within me that felt that I could beat the system.
My gambling eventually took over my football career. I was rushing out of training. I was betting on horse racing all around the world, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning when I had to be up for training at 7.
I won lots, but I also lost a lot as well. But ultimately, you lose everything as a gambler. You never win.
When I got paid at the end of the month, I'd go all guns blazing and do all of my money within a matter of days. Couldn't afford to get to training. I owed people money from playing poker on the coach.
And I think there's some real unique triggers within professional sport. You chase losses. They don't like to lose, so they will carry on betting. I think what you're doing is you're trying to replicate that hit, trying to replicate scoring a winning kick or a winning try or making a big tackle.
I wasn't sort of dedicating my time and my professionalism to the sport that I loved as a child, and it's all I ever dreamt of playing, and it was all ruined from gambling.
I was moving from club to club to club. The gambling became worse, the bets became bigger. And I just never stopped.
And it seemed quite a good idea to jump on the back of the bus where the card school was going on. Easy place to make friends. And then from there it was just downward spiral. Then turned out to be every day for the next 9 years.
In a lot of sports, there are gambling cultures. For a young player to enter that squad or a new player to enter that squad and say no, it's a hard thing to do.
I didn't want to sort of show a sign of weakness and say, listen, this is sort of hurting me now. I don't really want to do it anymore.
Sports people have time, it's a stressful place, many time away from home, and gambling's easy. The other thing that sports people tend to have is they think that they've got a little bit of expertise, that they can beat the system. I think it's a cocktail that creates a perfect storm, that if I'm a sports person that might have emotional problems, that the gambling is the choice of what I might use to fix me.
Where I was feeling anxious, I was feeling fearful, I was feeling sad or lonely or isolated, going to the casino was like my little sanctuary. It was somewhere where I could get away from the world, where no one judged me, and I could while away several hours and feel like a king. Now that was the most dangerous part of my gambling behaviours, because the gambling in itself wasn't the problem. I was using that to mask my mental health.
I wouldn't give my family the time of day. I had a young nephew at the time who, before he was born, I was promising the world to my sister that I'd take him out, I'd do this with him, do that. I couldn't have cared less.
Outside of the football then, it generally took over my world. I trained properly, I played properly, but in my spare time I was gambling. If I'd come home after training and I'd have to go and pick the kids, I'd be a little bit late because I'd be waiting for a horse race to finish. I just think it can sometimes take away the nicer times that you could have.
What we want to do is those who don't gamble to really know the signs and symptoms and behavioural characteristics that a gambler would show. Everybody in that squad of 50, 60 or 70 would all be able to look at it and would all be able to intervene if need be.
It's important to look out for, I suppose, additional requests for borrowing money or avoidance of social situations. Sometimes a player going off to gamble when they might normally be spending time with their teammates or family. And also I think just in a general point, just any sustained change, any persisting change in an athlete's mental state or the way that they seem or the way that they present, not being themselves.
There's been some fantastic mental health work done. People are talking about depression more. I think gambling is still a dirty word, even though everybody knows it's an issue. A, they haven't known what to do about it, and B, they see it as a weakness within their club. And that is what's got to go. People have got to realise that gambling is the fastest growing addiction in the UK and globally. It affects young men between the ages of 18 and 30 in particular.
But people can't understand the strength of gambling and the addiction. One player said to me, "Oh, at least it's not drugs or alcohol." And for me, that cut me deep, because I look at the stats of suicide in men under 50, and it's the highest killer of men under 50, and the highest suicide for any addiction is gambling.
The key to prevention of problematic gambling is control. You need to be in control of your thought processes. If you've taken drugs or you've been drinking, you are not going to be in control fully of your thought processes, so it's probably not a good time to gamble. So it's putting yourself some limits in terms of time, money and everything, and not going beyond those, no matter what the results are. That way you can demonstrate that you are maintaining control, and it's far less likely you will fall off the edge of that cliff.
If I was to give anyone any advice about their gambling, it would be to understand why they gamble. Are you gambling socially? Or are you gambling because you desperately need to win? Are you gambling because you're avoiding certain issues in your life? The action can be largely irrelevant, but the motivation is of paramount importance.